Unakushe. My name na Matilda, and I'm an image bearer, storyteller, and truth sharer, and I'd like to share my story with you today. The truth and I have always had a relationship as long as I can remember. Even when I tell lies. I lied a lot as a child. I lied for any reason. I didn't really need a reason at all. If I didn't want to go to church, I wanted to be liked, so I'd make up extravagant stories that were obvious lies, but I'd fold kernels of truth inside the lie and wait and hope that, like the lie, I'd rise. I'd fight to remember those lies because I wanted to be prepared just in case someone came back a week later and wanted to hear my story. But inside, I'd hush the truth. Shh. But it always found me. The truth and I have had a relationship for a long time. I remember coming to this land. I remember the stewardess on the plane and her looks of curiosity. I remember my ears popping and the sounds of the matching pink and purple tracksuits that my sister and I wore. I remember the pain of knowing that my salon was no longer going to be the new place that I called home. I hushed that truth then too. But I learned fast. You're not small pikin. You're not 1 gram pikin. You're small and one against many. So I curated my lies to help me survive. I remember the day I met my Americanized African aunt. She was beautiful and strong and wonderful, and I wanted to be just like her. She laughed loudly and she swore, and she called men driving too slowly beside her old farts. She was my favorite. We would go to her house and play. My sister and I, we would play. My sister would go and I would stay and play. He would call her. Uncle Benito would call her. And I would lose track of time, having fun, and I would play. One day, Mommy asked, "Do you girls want to go to your auntie's house?" Yes, I want to go and play. Auntie has a swing set in her backyard, and I can play with her baby, my baby cousin. I can take care of him like he's my baby brother. Yes, please, I want to go. No, I don't want to go, my sister would say. Why? Why don't you want to go? Why don't you want to play? I really want to go, sister. I don't want to miss the fun. It's nicer there than in our apartment, and there's so much room to run. I don't want to go. Mommy decided to take us there and to let us stay for a while so that she could run errands. Auntie left too. Sister, what do you want to do? We can swing, we can play cards, we can play with the baby. Let's go outside, okay? But once we started to play, Uncle Benito called her away. I did what I said. I played with my baby cousin, and I built so many stories in my head. I swang, and I ran, and I smiled, and I was happy. I took the baby inside so that he could play by himself for a while. And then I remembered that I ought to give my uncle the water he'd asked for. I took up a glass and I filled it from their fancy fridge. I couldn't remember if I should put ice in. I didn't want to be unliked, and I know he had told me more than twice. Should I add ice? I couldn't remember and I was unsure, so I left the kitchen and I went to his door and I knocked and I said, "Uncle Benito, did you like ice in your water?" The door was open, but there was no reply. I said it a second time. "Uncle Benito, did you like ice in your water?" I opened the door I saw my sister on the floor. His hands were on her where they shouldn't be. His smiling face stopped and looked at me. I saw the truth in front of me. A man not from my family, who we called uncle, had lied to me. He took advantage. To him, it was literally child's play. I looked at my sister, and she slipped away. We were looking for something under the bed. We were trying to play a game, he said. I placed the glass of water by the computer's side. I hid the truth and pretended my best lie. Okay, I said while screaming inside. I just wanted to give you this, pointing to the water at my side. His eyes flashed uncertainly, and I understood this. I need to lie and hold the truth. I need to keep him convinced that I saw nothing, that he's safe so we can live. So I hushed. And I hushed. I told you, the truth and I have had a relationship for as long as I can remember, even when I lied. Help me find the game, he said. I said, okay, as my heart beat in my head. I said, I'll look in the baby's room. He said nothing, so I went. I walked into the baby's room and I saw my sister vent. I closed the door to a slight crack to hear if he came. Sister, you have to pretend that I didn't see. You have to pretend or he'll kill us, all three. Pretend with me. That you're having fun, pretend with me. Let's play this game. I like it more. Let's move the toys and play on the floor. I could feel him watching to see if I knew. I could hear him pacing, deciding what to do. I knew he was thinking of how to get away. I knew he was willing to spill blood on that day. I knew the kitchen had sharp knives, so I went to see if he would try. I stood in the gap between earth and hell. I looked Uncle Ben in the face and said, "What are you doing?" Smiling through my teeth. "Are you making us something to eat?" I was 7 years old. I saw evil in his eyes and I knew he would kill me and he wouldn't have to try. So I lied and I lied and I made up a story about a little girl who was having fun, and slowly he left the kitchen full of knives and went back to his room, and I ran to my sister's side. I saw him. I know. Are you okay? Did he ever do it to you? Did you know he was doing it to me? She said. No, I didn't know. Play with the baby. I'll be right back. I'll figure us out how to get us out of here and everything will be fine. Don't make noise or he'll know. I'll be back. I have to go. I squeezed her ice cold hand and blinked back my tears. How can we escape? As I hushed my fears. 7 and 9, alone with a monster who had played with a child, a monster who had broken everything into pieces. I thought, and I thought, and I thought some more. We can't jump the fence and we can't walk out the door because he's watching and waiting to see if I knew what he'd done and to plan what he would do. We can't leave the baby because I don't know. Would he hurt his own son the way that he hurt little girls? I pretended and I played, and I coached sister and prayed and waited for a chance. He hovered and called us to lie and pretend to find this fabricated game, to look for what didn't exist and to suppress the fact that we were in a nightmare. The garage door opened. Auntie's car pulled in. My heart beat fast as I looked for a window to tell her what had happened. Her trunk was full of groceries, and as children, we knew it was our responsibility to unload and undo. The bags she brought full of food and the baggage of trauma, the abuse, only we knew. Sister and I went as he stalked and watched. I formed a plan to tell her between trips, in and out of the house. I kept her at the boot to pour out my heart. Uncle Benito touched sister in her private part. I saw him do it, and we waited until someone came so he wouldn't hurt us for knowing. Please help us, Auntie. Don't let him hurt us for knowing. What? She said. I begged her to keep her voice low. I could see his head over the trunk. Now he knows that I know. We went inside, and she spoke to him. They shut the door, and I went to my sister. I hugged her and told her, it's going to be okay now. Auntie is safe. She will take care of us. We won't have to worry. Mommy will know too, and she'll come in a hurry. Her face was passive, and I knew she was barely there. So I rubbed her hands and held her close as we waited to hear. Auntie came out and asked what had happened. I told her everything. Sister quietly nodded her assent. We told her everything, and I told her how I knew he would kill us if we didn't pretend. She listened, and my heart rose. Auntie is strong and beautiful. She's my favorite. I know she believes me. She called her brother on the phone as Uncle Ben sat in his room. I held the truth and let it wrap its arms around me. I had been brave and strong. I had been truthful. I'd faced evil and won. My little heart was singing, and I threw up hope high in the sky, and I watched it fall. Uncle Mole was on the call. He asked what had happened. I told it all. I told him what I saw. I told him what sister said. I told him what I did, and I told him about the monster on the bed. He said, okay, and asked me to give Auntie back the phone. Where was Mommy? Where is she? I need to call her too. I feel cold. I don't know what to do. Auntie handed the phone to me, and Uncle Mole said, you're a liar. Apologize to the monster on the bed. My tongue was dry, and my stomach turned. My vision faded, and all was silent. Sister left. Though she sat beside me, I knew she was gone. Did she know it would be like this all along? Didn't I tell you? The truth and I have had a relationship for a long time. I looked at my beautiful auntie's face as she held my back and guided me to that dark, dark place between earth and hell, where my lies collided with the truth, where I was made to apologize for telling what I knew. I'm sorry, Uncle Benito, for lying on you. I love you, Uncle Benito. Please forgive me. Sister and I said the phrase, and I shook and I trembled and I hushed the pain. Shh. I forgive you, he said as he sat on his bed and smiled, and we were made to hug him and listen for a while. As he talked and he smiled, a triumphant smile. And inside, I felt my childhood die. Auntie looked me in the eye and told me she forgave my lie. Mommy, do you believe us? I asked her as we drove home. I didn't hear what she said. Her response was drowned out by the sound of blood rushing to my head. The world I knew crushed and folded to become the most dangerous lie I ever had to survive. And my body shouldered the weight and cocooned me safely. Later, Mommy said, forgive and don't remember, leave it alone. Don't remember that conversation on the phone. Don't remember the truth or the lie. Don't remember how you watched justice die. Your auntie's marriage needed to live. So we decided to curse you and call you a liar so that she wouldn't kill her husband that day. She needed that lie to survive. Her husband and her son needed you to be a liar. It's okay. as a family will smother it to death, you'll find that a lie can also be for the best. So for years, this lie got to live and I got to die. My truth was never shared, not for years, not at all. I'm 34 years old now, and I'm finally telling it all. There's more to it and more to be said about how a child could cover adults while the lines of her reality bled, and surviving and searching for vindication and justice. There's more to be said about fear and identity, about beauty and pain, about darkness and monsters that have the family name, about miracles and fathers and hearts that give, about light that creates new ways for broken people to live. My name na Matilda. I'm a storyteller, truth sharer, and image bearer. And I've always had a relationship with the truth, even when I was marked by a lie. Thank you for listening to my story.